Good evening and Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for joining this session at this late hour of the day. Your presence here at this late hour speaks volumes about your dedication to your profession and to your students. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the broader situation around us. These are not ordinary days. Many parts of our region are experiencing tension and instability. In such times, showing up to learn, reflect, and grow as an educator is not a small act. It's a meaningful one. Education remains one of the strongest responses to conflicts and uncertainty, and we are doing this together here. I sincerely hope that you and your families are safe. Please continue to take care of yourselves, stay alert to official guidelines, and prioritize your own well-being. That said, I'm just going to share the presentation, the content of the presentation that I'm going to share with you. Right, please let me know if you're able to see that. So can you see my screen? Oh,
Yes.
right, okay, I can see a thumbs up there. Yeah, that's the best way to interact because sometimes probably we don't have the chat feature here. And a few things about housekeeping. Miss Samar, is that the right pronunciation of your name? Sorry.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah. So she'll be sharing links with you as we are moving on for a few of the tasks that I want to do with you all. So to start with, okay, during the next 1 hour or so, we will be talking about and discussing together and sharing ideas on differentiated instructions and AI. And the goal being personalizing learning for every learner who comes to our classroom. And I have already been introduced, so there is no point in engaging that activity. So let's right away, without further ado, start the session. So a quick overview of what we will be doing in the session. The session is going to be about differentiation. But we'll be doing 3 things about differentiation. The first one is we will discuss why differentiation is important. In this part, we will try to rationalize differentiation. And in the second part, we would try to explore together, again, with your help, what actually differentiation is all about. And in this part, we'll try to define and understand the different components of differentiation. And finally, we will see how we can do differentiation when it comes to teaching. And you must be wondering, where is that AI component in all the 3 of them? So basically, the AI is in the how part of our session. So we will see how we can do differentiation in the classroom when teaching by integrating technology, specifically artificial intelligence. And that's the whole thing we're going to do today. Okay. So let's start with the first thing, that is the why. Okay, now why differentiation? Now, to start with this very important thing, I want to bring one of your students into this session. And you'll be wondering, my student? Yeah, so I'm just bringing an Ibrahim from any classroom, and this Ibrahim is not a particular Ibrahim called by that name. He is any student in the classroom, or for the sake of diversity and inclusion, there are for some female colleagues in the session. So there is a Sarah or an Ibrahim, one of the students. They represent any student in the classroom. Let's bring them to our session. So this Ibrahim or Sarah is either the student who needs more support when we are teaching. So he is below the level of the level that you're teaching, or in other words, he is below the other students. His level of language is not up to the other students. So he needs more support. So let's call him a support learner. And this Ibrahim can also be someone who is just on target. So he is the right student for the right level. So he is a Sarah or an Ibrahim who is just appropriate for that level. He is good for the course book that we are teaching. He is good for the course content that we are teaching. So that he or she both, right? So this is the on target level Ibrahim or Sarah. And a third thing, a possibility is that This Ibrahim or Sarah can be an extension learner, and an extension learner by definition is someone who is beyond the level of the rest of the students, or in other words, he is beyond the level he's placed in. Yet, in other words, he's a misplaced student who shouldn't be here. He should be in a higher class, right? So these are the three scenarios we all have in our classrooms. It's nothing new. You would say that, right, I have many of these Ibrahims in my class. There is someone who is unique because he needs more support, and there is always someone in the classroom who is just at the right level. And also, there are people who are basically the extension learners, and these are the students who are beyond the level of the other students. Okay, now I'll just bring in one of the Ibrahims that I have taught in my classrooms. I'll be talking about this Ibrahim in terms of three things. This Ibrahim is unique in his language proficiency. He's unique in his learning style from others, and his out of classroom interests are different from the others. So I'll just quickly go through defining his persona to help us understand the whole context in the next part of the session. So this Ibrahim is different from the others in terms of his language proficiency. So in other words, there may be more than one Ibrahims in the classroom, but I'm defining one of them and I'm giving you the persona of that learner. So this Ibrahim is strong in receptive skills, so he's good at reading and listening. He understands the gist of the complex text when it comes to listening and reading both. He follows classroom instructions well, so that's a great thing to do, but he's got high effective filter regarding speaking. That's a negative thing about him. And he struggles with grammatical accuracy under pressure, and that's linked to his high effective filters. And he has limited academic vocabulary, often relies on safe, high-frequency words. So this is how I can profile his language. Now, when it comes to his learning style, this particular Ibrahim that I've just introduced to you is a visual kinesthetic learner. And I hope you know what that means. And his classroom behavior is that he loses focus when the teacher is explaining things in a long explanation, a long lecture format. He excels when instructions are broken down into checklists or you provide infographics to him. He would rather try a task and fail than sit through a 10-minute explanation of how to do it correctly. So he basically is kind of a trial and error type of student. He would make mistakes and learn from them, and a self-learner who actually prioritizes his own experiences to any other way of learning. So that's about his learning style. And his out of classroom interests are something like this. He is an avid video game player. Most of the time you would see him playing Minecraft and Roblox, the strategy games. He enjoys editing short, fast-paced videos for social media, showing a keen eye of sequencing and visual storytelling. That's he's very good at. And something about his environmental curiosity is that he's interested in marine biology and extreme nature documentaries, often knowing facts about deep sea creatures that far exceed his general English vocabulary. So this is a persona, a profile of the Ibrahim that I have brought to you. And if I just go to another Ibrahim, I can give you a similar persona of that Ibrahim. So I have many of these Ibrahims in my classroom, and each one of them has a different persona. Their language proficiency is different from others. Their learning style is different from others, and their out of classroom interests are different. Some people have an interest in reading, others have interest in playing different sports, and yet others do any other activities which they come to the class with. Okay, now with this thing, I'm just taking you to the next very important thing, and here I want your input. Now I want you to choose one of the students from your classroom. Now recall an Ibrahim or a Sarah, any student, in other words, from your class, and describe their language level, learning style, and their out-of-class interest. And you're going to put at least 3 sentences about one student, whoever you can recall, under the comment here. and I'll be able to see them on. So we have got about 2 minutes to do this task. So please go ahead and do it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Could I get a hold of this link if possible? Could someone send it to me on WhatsApp?
Yeah, that's the one, I guess, because we don't have any other way to send it to you. Ms. Summer probably has shared it on the WhatsApp group, I think. So have you seen that?
Okay, okay, sir, Sanad, I will share it with you. Okay, wait a minute.
Please do. Ms. Summer, can you just open the microphone for them to share their ideas, just to describe one of their students? That will be quicker than actually going.
They can, yeah.
Please do it. So if any one of you wants to jump in and share, describe one of your students, that's easier. Probably Sanad, you please go ahead. I can just see your hands up.
Yes, actually, one of my students who, came to the center where I teach for a number of months to improve his basic language learning abilities in the subject of English.
Can you say a few things about his learning style?
His preferred way of learning, he is the kind of person who appreciates information that is given to him on a silver platter.
Okay, got it. So the next very important thing, do you know anything about his out-of-class interests?
Yes, he's very much interested in cards.
Excellent. Yeah, so I needed all these things. So please keep them as brief as you can. So who's going to be next? Yeah, please, next.
Othman, I think.
Yep, please go ahead.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, please, I do. Keep it as brief as you can, Uthman.
Yeah, I have like one of my students, like he has a great level in English and he's like above the other students. And concerning his learning style, he likes learning by doing. And out of class interests, he really likes reading and doing public speaking.
Excellent, great. Anybody else? To get a variety of different learners?
Yes, sir, I think.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for this nice topic. A student coming from totally different setting, he is way better than his classmates.
Okay.
He's
Great.
very proficient. He has lots of other interests other than them. That's why I feel a big gap between that student and others in the classroom. So
right. Okay,
if you
great.
can tackle
And what
this
about
idea,
his
how
learning
to come up
style?
with this detailed. Kinesthetic, he would like just to express his ideas using visuals as well and moving around. He's interested in, playing something like football or even swimming as well. So that's what I know about with this guy, actually.
Excellent. That's great. Yeah. And anyone else, please go ahead. Thank you. Next. If there is anyone interested in sharing. Well, we have got enough profiles. If we don't get any further, it's okay.
May I?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. One of my students is called Ziad. All his teachers tend to call him a slow learner. So he has mechanical talent. That's it.
Excellent. Can you say just a sentence about his language level? How was he? How did you find him?
Medium.
Medium language level.
Yeah. He only listens.
So you see how all these people are different from each other. So they are different in their language level. They're different in their learning style. They're different in the out of classroom interest, and they are different in why they're learning the language at all. So all these things make these students different from each other. Now, these Ibrahims, I just want to summarize, are different from each other in their language level. They learn differently. They have different interests. They have different goals for learning English. So this is what makes all of them different. And now imagine a scenario here. Let's say we go to the classroom and normally we teach textbooks. We all know it. So most of the time what happens is you go to the classroom and this is the scenario. You have a lesson and page 27 of the book. And the scenario is that this lesson is on getting the main ideas of an exploratory text. And the only tool that is available to you as a teacher that you're going to use with the student is a dense single-spaced 2-page article from a news journal. So it's a 2-page article, full, 2 pages, right? And that's what the students are expected to read. And then the task that we are going to give them is this one. Read the article and write a summary of the article explaining the author's main arguments. Now, there's a question I'm going to ask you, and I need your input on that one. And we will start with Wahiba, if she's around, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. So now imagine a situation that all these different Ibrahims and Sarahs there, and then we have a one-size-fits-all lesson on a certain page of the book. And that is what it is. And, you know, so we have, it's not one Ibrahim, it's not one Sarah in the class. We have 20, sometimes 25, and maybe more, right? But the lesson that we have on page 27 of the book is the same thing, is one size fits all. Now, the question that I'm going to ask you, and I need your input on that, is this one. I want you to tell me how your particular student, the one you described, would respond to this lesson. And I need your responses, and keep them as short as possible.
Okay, Sanad, go ahead.
Yes, Senator, please.
Yeah. Yes, for the example that I mentioned before, my student, right? If he was in a group class of 25 to 30 plus students, he would not. I mean, like, if I gave him private attention, one-on-one class, he would understand about 20%, maybe 15 to 20%.
Thank you, Sanad. Who's going to be next? How would your Ibrahim or Sarah react to this lesson? Yep, Mr. Fatih. I think you're okay. I can see your hand up.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
As for Ziad,
Yeah, go ahead. Whoever.
yes, I've tried so many things with him. I tend to.
How about this particular lesson? How
Yes,
he would react to this lesson?
if I teach him alone, okay, he wouldn't respond. He wants to be among a group, so that the attention he doesn't want to be under the spot. He would ask me to read for him, and he would do the task.
Okay, got it. Yeah, who's going to be next? Yes, Rabi. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Ahmed. I think Ibrahim needs some scaffolding before starting the task.
He needs some what?
Because he needs some scaffolding.
Oh, scaffolding. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, he needs to have clear instructions before starting the task, so that he can answer the question.
So in a sense, what you're saying is he will not respond well to this lesson as it is.
Yes, he may have some obstacles like vocabulary.
Uthman, please.
Yeah, since the person I mentioned like is enthusiastic about reading, I think like he would really like it, would love it, and because that's what he does most of the time. But he would be like leading. He would be ahead of his classmates.
Excellent. I just needed that. Thank you very much, Uthman. Yes, Yasser, please go ahead.
Yes, my Ibrahim is going to crush the text. He's well-grounded, he's knowledgeable, he has a good storage of vocabulary, so he's going to finish the task maybe way earlier than his classmates.
Excellent. Yeah, this is very important observation. So he will finish it earlier than his classmates, right? It's very important. Excellent. Anybody else? Who's going to be next? Right, fine. Okay. Great. So I'm just taking you further from where we just came to. You see that this basically is a one-size-fits-all lesson, and it doesn't fit well for all students, because a particular student we are talking about, like the Ibrahim that I introduced to you, he's good at reading, so he may respond to that well, because that's what he does well, right? But there are many other Ibrahims who are typically different from others, and these students may not do well. Okay, now the idea is this: we are giving the same level of support, the same content, and everything that goes to the student is the same. So these students face the same content, the same instructions we are giving to them, the same task, same outcome expected, and the same goals of the lesson. So this is basically, in other words, what we call equality for unequals. What are unequals here? The students are the ones unequal. Their level of language is different from each other. Their interests are different, and their learning styles are different from each other. But the lesson that we have on that page 27 of the book is that it is basically treating everyone equally. And treating everyone equally is not a desirable thing in teaching. It may be okay generally in life, but equality in teaching is basically an undesirable thing. Now let's go to an alternative approach to this one. Now think about this, that here, as you can see in the image, that everyone has different level of support under their feet, right? So this time what we're doing in terms of teaching is that we are providing, we are using the same content, but we are grading the content. Maybe for the student who is just at the right level, we're keeping it as it is. We don't want to change anything. But for the student who is struggling, we are making it a little diluted. We're watering down the content to make it easy for that particular student. But for the student who is beyond the level of the rest of the students, as one of you just said, my student will finish it earlier than the other classmates. So for that particular student, one best thing that you can do is to make it a little more difficult, to make it a little more denser, so that this student struggles more, because when the level is not appropriate, he's not learning anything. So it's easy for him. He's finishing early because the task is basically not of his level. So as a teacher, it's important to make the task a little harder for them. And what you can make harder? The content. The second important thing is to personalize instruction. I mean, the student who is the struggling one, he won't follow the instruction if you're giving the instruction to the brightest student in the classroom. Similarly, you will have to grade your language. You will have to vary the support. That means each student needs support that you need to provide to them. And sometimes, let's say a task like write the summary of this text is a big task. And some students want it to be in stages. So you do this thing in the first stage and then do the second one. Some time of scaffolding helps in bringing about the whole thing. But in the end, they're all able to achieve the same thing if you do it in the right way. So I just want to summarize this whole thing by saying that equality, when we are providing the same content, the same instruction to every student in the classroom, we are treating them equally, but the fact is that they're not equal. So we are exercising equality in an unequal situation, which was not very helpful. But the fact is that because the student's level is not the same, so we need to be equitable than being equal. Now, this idea of equity is what we call differentiation in language teaching and generally in education. And there's been this writer, Carol N. Tomlinson. She has written a lot about differentiated instructions. And I'm just introducing the definition that she has given to us. And what she says here is differentiation means tailoring instructions to meet individual needs. So each student comes with individual needs. These students have their own needs. The learning style is different. The language level is different. And the goal of learning the language is different. So we need to cater to their needs individually. That's a very important thing. And then she goes on to say that whether teachers differentiate content, process, product, or the learning environment, the use of ongoing assessment and flexible grouping makes this a successful approach to instruction. So the most important thing about this definition is that it gives us two very important things. It tells us what differentiation is. So tailoring instructions to meet individual needs, that's a very important thing. And secondly, Tomlinson's definition gives us the pillars of differentiation. So when we say we differentiate instruction, what do we actually differentiate? So we cannot say I differentiate my instruction. So tell me, what do you actually differentiate? What is the thing that you differentiate? So according to Tomlinson, as you can see in this definition, I have put them differently here on this slide. So according to her, there are four things we actually differentiate in a lesson. So we differentiate the content. That means the input. Whatever you're doing, it's a reading text. You vary the level of the text. We also differentiate the process. Process is the sense-making activities. So these are the activities basically after you introduce the input, you actually introduce how the students learn it. And all those activities are what we call the processes. So we can differentiate that thing. And thirdly, we can differentiate the product. And by that, I mean the last thing that the students are expected to do. For example, after doing all this thing, you're writing a summary. Okay, so having gone through all this thing, in the end, you are taking part in a debate, and you are, let's say, engaging in some sort of an interaction in a bank. So all that thing that can be varied. So, and if we just focus on one thing, because the book says there should be a debate and the student must do debate, there are students who are not able to do that. And if you are expecting students to write the summary of the article, what about those special students who are not able to see things? So we cannot expect them. So what we basically do is we actually make a variety of products. For example, we can expect someone to give us a presentation rather than doing a 2-page long summary of a text. So that is again differentiation of the product, and we will go on to explore this further. And the third thing is we can also differentiate the environment. By environment means the things in the classroom, the wall, the friendliness, to what extent you are encouraging the students to interact, and the group work and the pair work and all that thing. So all these things can be conducive to learning, and that is yet another pillar of differentiation, and teachers can involve in doing that. So are we all good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
So
Yes.
excellent. So let's
Very
move
good.
on to
Great.
the. Okay, great. Thank you. Please
Wonderful.
do stop me if there's anything, because I can't see that screen. It's not there on my screen. I only see the PowerPoint. So even if you're raising a hand, I can't see it. So please, Ms. Summer, keep an eye on that. If someone is raising a hand to share a point, please let me know so that we can give them a chance to interact. Right. Okay. So let's go to the next one. So these are the 4 important pillars of differentiation. Now, with these 4 pillars of differentiation, let's go back to the lesson I told you. There was a 2-page long article followed by a task, and the task required students to read the article and write the summary of it, highlighting the main points of the article. So that's what we basically meant to do. Now, think about it. To the left side, that's what it is, right? So, okay, do it. Very simple. There's nothing else. So the page with the 2-page article is there, followed by 3 activities, A, B, C. And the last activity is write the summary of the main ideas in this passage. So they do it. Very simple. There's nothing else you're doing. Life is easy. Go to the class, ask the students to do it. This is one size fits all. The one size is the content that we are taking to the class. Everyone is facing the same thing. But what is happening is we are not actually giving attention to the diversity in the classroom. We are not actually taking into account that the students, 25 students in the classroom, there are 15 different learning styles in this class. There are 10 different language levels in this classroom. And there are students who think this is too easy for me. And there are students who think this is not for me. I'm not at that level. So all that is going on. So the solution is in differentiation. So let's go into the content. The content is the 2 pages. Let's make multiple versions of those 2 pages. So for the student who is struggling, the below level student, the support level student gets an easier version of the same text. And the student who's just at the right level will get the same text. And the student who thinks this text is too easy for me, we will need to make it a little more complex version of the same text, right? This is one thing. Similarly, the process, there are tasks there, which are basically process tasks, the sense-making task, in other words. These tasks can also be varied. So we can just making multiple versions of these things, okay? Because I'm a student who can only respond to things when I listen to them. And one of you said, my student will only do it when I read it out to them. So this student will not respond until I read it to them. So when you're reading, what you're doing, you're personalizing it to him. You're differentiating the process for that particular student. And that's exactly differentiation. And similarly, at the end of the task, one student says, okay, I'm in your class, but look, listen, I can't write because I can't see. I'm a visually impaired student. So for that particular student, you cannot insist on writing a 2-paragraph long summary of something because they cannot see. So for that particular student, the first thing is you need to differentiate the content, making it more of an audio version of the text. And then, the product, the last task, you might just ask him to summarize in a podcast format, rather than doing it in the shape of a written text, which is not definitely possible. Similarly, the environment, the students are sitting, let's say it's a big hall, 25 bolted chairs, and the students come and sit anywhere they want. You can just do some differentiation about the environment. You can put students together who don't have that effective filter. They can sit together, they feel easy talking to each other, or maybe they don't feel it like a comfort zone. When I'm sitting with this particular student, I don't have any issues, but when I sit with the sharper students, I feel shy, and I don't want to make mistakes in front of them. So all those things are there to manipulate, from the teacher's part. So this is basically differentiation, but we think differentiation is a solution so far, right? We think that differentiation will actually help us, but there is a huge problem with differentiation, and we are coming to that now. And when we are involving in differentiation, we are, in Lopez's words, we are scrambling. By that, we mean that this activity of trying to create multiple versions of the same lesson for 25 students in the classroom, or let's say 5 different students in the classroom, leads to scrambling to find different activities for 5 different levels in your classroom. And that's not easy. Look at this, this particular task, because 5 of my students need different versions of this task. So let me create 5 different versions. Life is not easy that way, right? So we cannot do it that way. It's very difficult. I'm just going to ask you to quickly respond to this thing. On a scale of 1 to 5, what do you think? How overwhelming does creating 3 to 4 versions of every task, every lesson in a course book? Is it easy? If it is 1, it's not difficult, it's easy. If it is 5, it's extremely difficult. Which one you would choose? Just the number.
It's frustrating.
Okay, so
4 for
5,
me.
just the number.
4.
4, okay.
I'd go for 4.
4,
5.
okay. 5.
5
Yes,
as well.
4.
it's 5. And the reason is that we as teachers have a huge workload, and it's a reality. So we are the ones who are doing a lot of grading. We attend meetings. We do lesson planning, not once, so many lesson plans we have to create. We do data entry, attendance, formative, summative assessment records, and responding to emails, writing emails, and reading emails. And all of these things, differentiation is not easy. So right now, we presented differentiation as being a problem. First, we said it's a solution. Then we said it's a problem. Differentiation is a problem. If it is a problem, then we are coming back to a solution, right? So what may be the solution?
Oh,
And the solution is basically the last part of our session today, and that is how we can differentiate using AI. So let's go back to the pillars of differentiation. If you just recall, so what are the 4 pillars of differentiation? Can anyone quickly recall them?
Content.
Content, the first one, very good. The second one is? Process. The third one is product. And the 4th one is? Environment. Excellent.
Environment.
So these are the 4 elements, the 4 pillars of differentiation. It's kind of a framework given to us by Tomlinson. It's a very important one. So let's have a look at the content, how we can differentiate content. So the first thing is to understand what we mean by content. Content can be, if it is a reading lesson, the reading text is the content. If it is a listening lesson, the listening text is the content. If it is a grammar-based thing, whatever you're presenting, whatever input you're bringing to the classroom is the content. So that content should not be the same for all the 25 students in the classroom, right? So what we can do is, so we will just bring in that content, process it with an AI engine, and create 3, 4, 5, or 10 different versions of that content. And how that can be done? Let's say it's a reading text here, as we have seen in that sample lesson, and go to ChatGPT or Gemini or any other tool, and then you ask it to create multiple versions of this thing. But it's a very important thing here is that you must do some need assessment in your classroom. A need assessment is basically, you should know maximum information about your students, their learning styles, their language level, their out of the classroom interests, and everything. Does this student feel shy when he interacts with students? Does this student feel okay with different content? Let's say you bring reading passages there. Now, just have a look at this one. To the left side, I have taken a reading text from the Unlock 2nd edition Cambridge University Press coursebook. And for that one, I'm going to ask one of the LLMs, whatever you choose, there's no specific one. You can use ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, whatever, Claude, or any other. And you just ask them to create 3 different versions of this reading text for you, right? And to meet the 3 different learning levels in your classroom. So for the first level, you say, this is going to be the support level student, although this text is for B1 level. And I need, because my student who needs more support, he is an A2 level student. So I need to just water it down, to dilute it to his level, right? So I say rewrite, if you just look at the support level thing, rewrite the text using simple active sentences. Remember, so, when you say using simple active sentences, what we mean by simple active sentences is that basically this sort of sentences are expected of A2 level students in the CEFR level. In the CEFR level, basically the sentence structure is the SVO structure. That's what we expect from the students. They don't know the complex structures, but this is a B1 level, which is more complex for those students. So you're asking ChatGPT or Gemini to rewrite this whole text following the A2 features of language, right? That's one thing you're doing. And then for the student who is just at the right level, you say, okay, keep the original text complexity, but reorganize it with clear subheadings and bolded keywords to aid navigation. Sometimes when you break things down for your students, it makes it easy for them to understand. So you're doing the same thing without changing the text, but then you say, add 3 check for understanding questions after each paragraph. You can easily do that. And for the extension learner students, you're asking ChatGPT to complexify the original text using academic vocabulary and formal structures like nominalization. Instead of facts, focus on abstract implications, for example, the socioeconomic divide, and add a critical thinking challenge that asks the students to predict the solutions for city flooding in 2050. Now, look, basically, the idea is that you can give a prompt to the LLM, the language learning models, to create as many versions of the text as possible. You may say, right, so, okay, writing all this prompt takes time. It doesn't actually. For this one, the best thing is that you should do a need assessment, a need analysis of the whole thing in your classroom. You should have a profile of each learners. If you have been involved in some teacher training courses, basically, what they expect you to write a complete profile of each learner. Their learning style, their language level, the preference for a particular content. So all that thing has to be decided at the very beginning of the course, so that whatever you bring to the classroom will be a reflection of your response to the diversity in the classroom. And that's a very important thing. And then you put this all into ChatGPT or Gemini or something and ask them to create a variety of the task responding to that diversity in the classroom. So this is how you can create multiple versions of the content, the input. Are we all good so far?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So for this one, this is my prompt, right? So I'll just copy this prompt as it is. I'm not going to make any changes to this. So copied, and I'm going to let's say Gemini. And what I'm doing is I will go and upload that text first. So this is the text, right? I uploaded the text as it is, and then I put that prompt that I discussed with you. Let's see. And so we have actually asked it to give us 3 different versions of the text. Now we see that. Now, okay, now look. So we said create an easier version. That is the support level. That is the one. So the same text is recreated, which is easy for the support level student. And we also asked it to create a visual glossary at the end. By that we mean, for example, this is flood, polluted, a visual glossary it has created, and that's what we have asked it to create. The on target group, look, we said keep it as it is, don't change the text, but then give some reflection questions. There are 3 questions here. So read the first paragraph, then the 3 questions, and then the paragraph followed by 3 questions, paragraph followed by 3. This is for the just at the right level student. And let's move on to the extension level student. The text is complexified. This text is more difficult than the original text, right? And then at the end of it, we said we will just add some critical thinking questions, and these questions are here, right? So if the student that you're teaching was finishing the task earlier than others, this is the way to respond to them. That if you just go to the LLMs and ask them to complexify the task for you, that will actually save you time, and it will provide enough challenge to the student. But remember, it's not just for the sake of saving your own lives. But the thing is that if the student is not getting enough challenge in what you're teaching them, then they will not learn anything. For them, easy is not always good. And sometimes students do that. So if you bring in anything to the classroom, let's say if it is below their own level, they'd be happy. Yeah, okay, I can do this. But the thing is that if you might recall Gresham's hypothesis, who basically said that the level should be 1 level higher than the current level of the student. So whatever you're bringing to the classroom, it's vocabulary, listening, reading, or whatever, it should be 1 step higher than what the current level of the students, right? It's called the I+1. Right? So this is very important. So you should give the students appropriate content according to their level. So for the support level student, for example, if you are just giving to them I+5, let's say it's 5 level above their current level, they will not be able to do anything. So it's important to water it down, right? Okay, so let's move on to the rest of them, and you can easily copy those things and print it and bring to the classroom, or if you want to do it any different way, is absolutely up to you. Similarly, let's go on to the process part. By process, I told you basically we mean the sense-making activities, and these are the activities. So basically the core concept, let's say whatever the task is, we can differentiate the sense-making activities. Let's say there's a gap fill activity. So we can just change it to a different activity. Let's say there's a task where students are asked to do a pair work, and you feel that, no, pair work will not help my class. I should just go for a group work in there, right? So basically the sense-making activities can also be differentiated, and how we can do that? Again, I'm just going to give you a sample here. So if you can just look at that, I have an activity here. This is basically a vocabulary practice task from the Unlock second edition, Cambridge University publication again. And here they have given it as a gap fill activity. But I think that this is not very helpful to the 3 different levels in my class. So I'm asking ChatGPT or any other LLM to create 3 different versions of the task. And I would let you read this one. This is basically the prompt to get 3 different versions of the task rather than giving this thing as it is, because I knew this will not help my students a lot. So what I did is I created this prompt and I'm asking ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any one of them to create 3 different versions of the task. And that's what it is. But this time I think, you can just take this thing as it is. If you need this a copy of these prompts, I can share them with you actually. And I can send it to Ms. Samar. She will forward it to you. I've got them in a document and I can easily share that with you. Right. So what you're doing basically there is upload this thing and then copy and paste this whole prompt and you will get 3 different versions of this task. So we're okay?
Yes, of course.
Right.
I just have an idea, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, if we proceed on this way, using the prompts for the 3 levels in our classroom, but we have always to anticipate some problems for the high levels. It's just anticipating things.
Probably I didn't follow some parts of it. There was a lot of lagging in there. Please, can you just repeat that thing?
Yeah, I said if we have to follow this process of using the Gemini or ChatGPT to give us the 3 levels prompt for the higher, the advanced, and the medium, and the lower level, we have also to anticipate some other problems for this differentiation level solution. It's a kind
Okay,
of
so it's a good point. Can you just be a little more specific? What do you mean by those problems?
Yeah, anticipating problems, because a high level text is going to be more challenging for the B1 or B2.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I said, in the beginning, the main thing, the most important thing is your need assessment survey in the very beginning. So you are doing an assessment of your learners. You have full information. This is very important. Knowing your learner is the starting point here, that you should know what they like reading about. You should know what is their preferred way of reading, what is their current language level, how they are responding to what you're doing in the classroom. So if you have all that thing, you can easily anticipate that what they would like to see. For example, if you know that your students are all into digital technologies, so this gives you a huge amount of information in the sense that it says, right, so whatever text you bring to the classroom should be about digital technology because that's what they like to read about, right? If you're teaching a group of people who are into sports activities, bring in something about that. So this anticipation actually comes as a response to your own understanding of the classroom dynamics. It's very important.
Yeah, but I think it's time consuming a little bit. It's going to be time consuming.
It is. It absolutely is. Because, then again, as I said, it's something that cannot be ignored.
Yeah.
Rather than, because otherwise the cost is very heavy. I mean, if you're not doing it that way, then one size fits all, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so we have to weigh in that thing. I understand that having a complete understanding of the classroom dynamics takes time, but not doing it is costly, right? But it's easier.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes.
You're most welcome. Right. Okay. Can we just go to the next thing? Similarly, I'm just going to we have 2 more of these pillars to discuss. Let's say the products. Normally what happens is at the end of the lesson, there is something that we want students to write. And this writing or, debating or doing a presentation is kind of a a norm in the classroom. That's what we do. And so this can also be differentiated. Instead of just focusing on writing something, we can ask them to record something and share it with you, even after the classroom, to do a presentation, to design something, let's say using digital devices, to build something, to debate, teach, map, illustrate. So all of these things are possible. And how we can do that, I'm just giving you an example here. This is the last activity of a lesson in a reading and writing book from the Unlock 2nd edition. And the task requires students to write a paragraph about your country or city, which places have the worst traffic, and all these things are given to them there, right? Now, the thing is, again, rather than considering it a one-size-fits-all thing, rather than giving this task to all the students at the same time and expecting them to do everything perfectly, we can again ask these LLMs to give us 3 different versions of this task. So again, basically we are asking them to, let's say, rather than focusing on writing, because there are 3 students in my class who cannot write, right? So they have visual impairment. And there are other students who have some other problems, they cannot write. So we can actually ask ChatGPT to create 3 different things. So all those different versions of things can be done. Again, I will just share all these content with Ms. Summer and she will forward them to you. Please try them using ChatGPT or any other tool that you are conveniently using so far. And finally, differentiating the environment. And when I say environment, we mean 3 very important elements here: how we are grouping the students, and using the physical space in the classroom, and also responding to the emotional climate, and also the effective filters, how shy the students are, and how they're doing everything in there, right? And that can also be processed using the AI tools with the means of a prompt. And then we can create flexible and dynamic groups and teams, optimized room layouts and stations. And we can also personalize the support and safe space. I'll just give you an example of this. This is what I did with ChatGPT the other day. And so this is the classroom. I'm just asking ChatGPT to write, this is my classroom. And I want you to act as a classroom management expert. I'm teaching the Urban World 2050. That's the text I shared with you, right? Lesson in a room with fixed theater-style seating. That's what it is, right? I have 30 students with internet-connected phones, but no live chat boards. Please design an environment differentiation plan. So I say, okay, now do these things, okay? Row-based zoning, suggest how to divide these fixed rows into 3 zones, how I can do this. These zones are, for example, there's a hush zone, there's a collaborative zone, and there's a teacher support zone, right? And then ChatGPT is creating a plan for me in the Senate. And I would just let you do this yourself. And with that, basically, we are coming to the end of it. And this is basically the time I should be asking you to ask me any questions that you have in your mind about differentiation and the use of these LLMs to differentiate when teaching. So please go ahead with that. And my email is given on the screen for any further communication and interaction. And